All right, FFA, what's up, everybody? Coming at you guys from the Outer Banks this morning as we're going to get to hear from Kaylee on how she was able to have over a $7,000 day, but check it out, over like a $12,000 week. So, hey, if you guys can hear me okay, shoot me a thumbs up in the comments section. Hopefully, this does not glitch out on us like it normally does, but here we are coming up on July 4th. Okay, guys, we're halfway through this year, and so many of you are on track to hit the Scotland trip. I want you guys to take a deep dive into your numbers so far, figure out how far away you are, and just run to hitting that trip. I promise you, it's going to be a trip of a lifetime that you do not want to miss. We're only, I think, less than 30 days away from going to Cancun for all of you who qualified for it last year, which I couldn't be more excited about that as well. So let's kick off today's call with a verse of the day. It says, Matthew 6:25. Jesus said, "Therefore I say to you, take no thought for your life, what you shall eat or what you shall drink, nor yet for your body what you shall put on. Is not the life more than meat, and the body more than raiment?" Guys, such a true verse. So many of us get so caught up in trying to fulfill the worldly view of what our life should look like. And check it out, that verse is saying you should stop worrying about it, right? Just like he gives food to the birds, gives food to the animals, right? Takes care of them. He's going to take care of you, all right? No matter what situation that you're in. So have peace in that verse as we go and embark on a new week. Couldn't be more proud of you guys for last week. Check it out. We had we had the biggest week as an agency all year. So many of you guys ran to new heights and could not be more excited to shout out the top 15 on the week. So let's give a big shout out. Coming in at number 15, we had Dylan Alderson putting his name up there on the leaderboard. We had Jody, like always, going over 4,400 as she came in at number 14. Big shout out to Ray over 4,600. Hey, check it out. I want to give him a big shout out. Not only is he putting up personal production, but his team absolutely has been crushing it, having multiple record weeks back to back to back. They went big last week as well. Big shout out to Aaron. Aaron's going to be leading the team Zoom tonight. So make sure, if you guys want to hear from the agent of the year last year and one of the top agents pretty much every single year, make sure you tune into the Zoom tonight and listen to what Aaron has to teach you guys. Sylvia with the big week, over 4,700 for her. Had Jennifer Garner over 5,300 as she went big. Big shout out to Kirk, over 5,800. We had Joni coming in at 66. Let's give this agent a huge shout out. Cassie working alongside Becca. Check it out, 7,300 on her week last week. I think that was her first full week here at FFA, over 7K. So big shout out to Cassie for having a phenomenal week. We had Julie and Becky crushing it like always, both of them well over the sevens. Rebecca had to show Justin up. Justin's been beating her week to week, but she came in hard. She wasn't about to do the Pavoni chores this week as she went over 7,700. Then check it out, the top three all over the 10K club battling each other out. Coming in at number 3, we had Dennis. Big shout out to him. He took home Agent of the Month last month. Here he is again, over 10K on his week. We have Adonis, over 11K on the week for him, as he's been in the top 5, I think, back-to-back weeks there. So nice work to him. And then taking home number 1, just shy of 15K, is KZ, who I'm about to bring on here. So if you guys got questions for her, drop it in the chat. But without further ado, Kaylee, I'm going to add you to the live feed here. Let's see. I think we're on here. I'm doing this off my phone today, so bear with me. But it looks like we are live. KZ, thanks for jumping on here with me.
Good morning.
First off, hats off to you, Kaylee. $13,000 in 1 week is a huge week to have. So just give everybody an idea. How the heck did you do that? What's the secret?
I feel like I'm a broken record every time I come on these calls. It's pretty much the same thing. You know, there's not a lot of, it's not very complicated. It's more so just preparation and, claiming your week and just being ready for a week, not going out there blind. As we know, if we don't know what our weeks, what we're getting into, I mean, we're just setting ourselves up for failure. So, I mean, just really having a game plan going into your week every single week with your schedule, whether that, your schedule with work, your schedule at home, your leads, just everything in general. That's definitely how you should start your week. Because the more people that you meet with, the more, activity you're going to have, the more AP you're going to put on the board. So
That's awesome, Kaylee. I know it's when you come on here and teach, right? I know it's so simple how you're becoming so successful, but I think a lot of agents just they're thinking there's this like secret potion, right, that you have to do it. Let's talk about leads a little bit. I know all of the agents are like, what kind of leads is she working, right, to hit 13K? So what's your lead game plan going into a week?
I mean, I do an order. Honestly, I think every like 2 weeks, I typically, like as far as like fresh leads. And I'm glad that you brought this up because I want to kind of break down. I know everybody kind of stresses about what the best lead type is. And if you really look at it, most of these leads that we are buying, whether they're, from Integrity or just any type of, you know, online, lead that we're ordering, it's clear. It's just an ad that pops up, whether that's on Facebook or Google, and the person's filling out their information. Now is whether or not what the ad says, maybe that caught their attention. Some of them are worded Social Security, supplemental benefits. Some of them may be worded, they're needing help with different health benefits. And then it's like, and if you also would like information on any of the following, please check here. And one of those is life insurance. So, like, I think the Integrity leads might be that kind of structured more that way. So it's not that, it's not that the lead didn't say anything about life insurance, because sometimes when I'm working the Integrity leads are like, oh, I didn't fill anything out about life insurance. And I'm like, oh, that's no worries. It might've been just something in general about different benefits. And on there at the end, you had checked a box about life insurance as well. And, they just sent us out to go over that information. Shouldn't take long, I'll get you checked off the list. So just remember that no matter what lead type you're working, the more expensive that you're paying for these leads, the more, straight to the point that lead, what they filled out was more so only life insurance, versus if you're paying, not so much, if they're a little bit cheaper, what caught their attention maybe wasn't life insurance, but in there somewhere they did check the box for life insurance. So that's, whenever you think of it that way, just know you might have to just kind of simply remind them, oh yeah, it was probably, you sent an inquiry in about, just benefits in general. And also you had checked that box about the life insurance. And so that's what I'm here for, to go over that information with you. So, don't be, don't have any favorite lead. Somewhere on that form they filled out, it specified life insurance, and they're all different types, right? So
That's such a good tip, Kaylee, because I think sometimes as agents we get in the, I guess, bad habit of thinking that just because we have a lead when we show up at the door, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, I need life insurance. And that's very rarely the case, right? Because people just click on stuff and they forget. So, what would you tell an agent, Kaylee, where maybe they're running into a lot of situations where when they show up at the door, someone's saying, hey, I don't need that, don't know what it's about. Like, how do you overcome those kinds of objections to where you're actually presenting to the people you're going to?
I will say this. So, depending on what type of leads that you order, you might get a spreadsheet, you might get the PDFs, you might get both, or like Integrity, like you can have them in your portal, like, and it be all pretty on your screen. I would definitely encourage agents to use the PDF that you're given, or if it's in your integrity, like, portal that way, or if you only get a spreadsheet, import that over to your integrity so that you can, it's not like you're showing up with a spreadsheet. I feel like whenever I show up with a PDF or in my integrity portal, like a pretty little profile for them, I don't know, it just seems more, it's like they're in my system, versus I'm here with a spreadsheet type thing, getting you checked off my list. I just feel like it seems to be more like I'm assigned to them. I'm here to go over their information. I've got their profile type thing pulled up here. But, when you're getting these objections, and honestly, I'm trying to think, I don't feel like I've been told lately, let me knock on some wood, that like I didn't fill that out, but more so like, I feel like with objections, maybe it's timing, running out the door type thing. But I would say if somebody says they didn't fill it out, just say, any type of objection, I try to, oh, that's no worry, make it like a no big deal type thing. But yeah, that's no worries. It might have been something that you saw that, brought interest to you, and I'm just here to go over that information. Shouldn't take long, and I'll get you checked off the list. So, I don't try to like say, well, are you sure about that? Well, you had put this. So, it's more of, I'm not trying to go against them. I'm trying to, oh, that's no worries. It might've been something you had forgot about, how things pop up online, but look, while I'm here, I'll at least go over that information with you, get you checked off the list, and shouldn't be long. Let me grab my folder. I'll be right back. So I'm not being aggressive. I'm not being, that doesn't make me feel like I'm putting them in an uncomfortable situation. I'm just being very nice and casual and helping them.
Yep. I love that tip that you said about having it in your profile or showing them the PDF. I think that sometimes agents aren't showing them stuff and it's just like person to person. But when you can deflect that attention onto their information on your computer, people are like, oh, I must have done something, for Kaylee to be showing up at my door with all my information. So that's a big tip there. Let's jump into this $7,000 day. So has that been your biggest day ever, Kaylee?
It's been a while, I'll tell you that. I called Joe on my way home, and he's like, "It's after 7." And I was like, "Well, I'm coming home with a $7,700 day." So he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, that's fine."
Yep. He was okay with 7K, right? He could take off the week. You guys could go get you another boat if you want to now, right?
Yeah. Nah.
That's funny. So
Yeah.
let's dive into that. What all went into having that big of a day, right? Like I know agents saw everything you were posting and they were probably thinking, where is she finding, this type of sale? So what went into having that big of a day?
Yeah, and whenever I post on WhatsApp, I really try to share things like I try to share things that like for example, one lady, she was in a graded plan and I got her day one coverage. Like I try to share things to show agents like the angles or whatever, that I'm doing in a house, that I'm, bundle and save, like, just all the different ways of uncovering different situations or, but no, Thursday, I went into my day. I had 2 appointments that morning, or one at 10, one at 12. And those were from appointments I set on Monday. So Monday I went by a house. The lady was in her pool laying out. And I was joking with the bomb squad. I said, if I had a bathing suit that day, I would have gotten in a presentation, because she was like, you want to get in? So she was like, or I told her, I said, I'll be back in the area on Thursday. Does morning or afternoon work better? And I'll swing by and we can go over that. There again, I assumed it. And she was like, oh, okay, morning works good. And I said, okay, well, the number I have here for you is da 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 da. Is that correct? Yes. And I said, okay, is it fine if I send you a text? Yes. So I did it right there standing with her. I added her to my phone. I sent her a text. I said, Kaylee Zarello, Thursday, 10 a.m. And she didn't have her phone with her, obviously. But later, after she got out of the pool, she texted me back and she said, "Thanks so much. I've added it to my calendar." And so anytime that I schedule an appointment, whether it's on the phone or if I'm, for whatever reason, I can't meet with them right then, she was in the pool, I'm sending them a text. Like I am getting my number over to their phone with my name spelled out so they can save it. And I'm putting the time and the day of when our appointment is.
Mhm.
And I typically don't like to set appointments that far out, but I wasn't going to be back in the area until that day anyway. So I kind of, just didn't have a choice. But it worked out. She was there and I texted her Wednesday evening. I said, "Hey, Miss Betty, looking forward to meeting with you tomorrow at 10 a.m." Assumed it all, right? I didn't say, "Hey, I just wanted to confirm." I keep it simple. I keep it the same every time. "Hey, looking forward to seeing you tomorrow at 10 a.m." So, unless I hear something back, like, "Oh, I can't," then obviously I'm showing up. So that's how as far as if I do have appointments. The other appointment Monday, I was in that area and I had a lead come in. And she was about 30 minutes from where I was. And I was like, "I don't want to just drive out there. I'm going to call." And she answered after the third call. Y'all seen Jenny post in WhatsApp about making sure that you're, calling. And if you're not, you're really missing out because, they will answer after that third call. And, "Hey, this is Kaylee. I just got your request that came in about the final expense programs. You were actually assigned to me. I'm actually in your area today. I can swing those by and, get you checked off the list." She was like at the laundromat and blah, blah, blah. So I said, "Well, I'll actually be back out here on Thursday. And I do have some time, between 12 and 1 or 2 and 3, which works best." I'm giving her, some options. And she's like, "Okay, 12 and 1 is good." So there again, I sent her a text Wednesday evening, same thing, "Looking forward to meeting with you tomorrow between 12 and 1. So I helped her. And then I knocked a few more. And I had a lady that I met with on Tuesday, and she wanted her draft to be on the fourth Wednesday of every month, which that would have been the next day. Well, her old policy, like there was just no way I could have stopped her draft from coming out that next day. So, and I knew that was going to be like not an objection, but I knew that was going to hold us up on the application when I was sitting with her on Tuesday. I was like, "There's no way I can pull this off." Right. And I knew it wasn't going to let me submit it for July. Like the next fourth Wednesday was the next day. So I said, "Here's what I'm going to do. We're going to go ahead, get you past the initial underwriting part in this application. Just, I want to make sure you're approved first. And I'm going to have it saved here. And I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it on Wednesday or if I had to wait till Thursday. So when I logged on Wednesday, it was still only popping up as it was going to take it out that day. So I had to wait till Thursday. So I sent her a text that morning and I just said, "When you have some time, give me a call and we'll finalize everything." So about the time I'm, trying to knock, she called. I was like, "Well, I'm going to take this call and get this done." So I went back into the application and because she has to do one more text verification at the end, and got it done. And she was like, "I'm so glad that it worked out and da 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 da. Thank you for, not just letting it fall through the cracks basically and getting it taken care of." So that was that app. And then, and by the way, like I think I shared it in WhatsApp, but we know how different companies and their text verification or email and sign and some of them are simple, some of them are not. Especially Transamerica. It's like you have to open up the DocuSign and sign, and that's just a mess. But anyway,
Very
so
hard to do on a phone, that's for sure.
yes. But yes, so she got a text message because I was like, if you don't mind me asking, like, I said, they've recently updated this and I was kind of curious what it shows on your end. And she was like, it's just giving me a 6-digit code. And then there's a separate text with a link. And those were just for her to view. She didn't have to like sign anything.
Mhm.
And then after we submitted, it sent her a congratulations, you were approved text. So I thought that was pretty cool and simple and like it made it very clear for the client. But yeah, she gave me that 6-digit code. I entered that in and then she got to view her documents and then she got a congratulations. So that was pretty simple. And then I was on my way home. So, I was a little further away from home. So I was like, I've closed 3 out of 3. I'm going to head back, but I still was like, looking at my, road warrior, seeing if I had anybody to hit up. And I did not have this one in my road warrior because this lady was a lead from, I don't even know how many years ago, but I just remember like going there, like she was never home. I had met her husband once and, he was like, oh, she's out working again today. And like, I'm like, okay, well, when does she get off work? And, is she ever off? And I just could never get her. And I even went by like again one time and it was still just him. And I tried to call, I think I spoke with her on the phone once. I don't know. We just never could get together. And so I'm coming back home and I said, oh my gosh, I remember this lady that I never could get. And I saw a car and it wasn't, I can't remember if the man didn't drive, I don't know. But anyways, I saw a car. It just clearly looked like someone was home and then not just him. And so I'm like, I'm going to pull in and I don't even have a lead up. I don't even know what kind of lead she was. I don't know if she was on a spreadsheet or on my old iPad. I don't even remember when this was. And so I just pull in and I remembered her name and she, I guess, had what is it called? Like the NC rebuild, where they come out and tear your old house down and.
Oh yeah, like the Habitat for Humanity thing. Yeah.
And at first I was like, I know where I am. Like, I know this is the right address, where I'm at on the map. And like, because it was kind of down this little path, but you could still see it from the road. But anyways, she came to the door and I said, Miss Betty. And I said, I'm Kaylee and I have been trying to get in touch with you for a few years now. And then I took a step back and I said, have you gotten a new house? And there was like a sign out in the yard. And it says, look what Jesus has done. Talking about her house. And I remember her old house, not being very, very nice. And I said, have you gotten a new house? Like, I just didn't even, that's what I directed my attention on. And I wanted that to be what her attention was on. And she said, yes, I did. And I said, it is beautiful. And we are just going on and on and on. And she's like, just come on in, and didn't even tell her what I was there for, And so then after I got in and I said, I help people with their final expenses, their life insurance. And, you were on my list a few years ago. And I remember swinging by a couple times and you were always working. And so she's retired now. And her husband passed last year. Luckily, he had insurance, thank God, or I would have felt awful. But anyway, so, yep, she was retired and that's how she was home now. So do not give up on your old leads. Keep them in your, on your road warrior and plugged in for the ones even that you can't get home, because a few years from now, they'll be retired.
Yeah.
Or, you just never know. And I I ran with it, and I got in that house about 4 o'clock, and she had her individual checking account, and then they still had a joint checking that his name was on. And her adult son, his social security or disability was coming into that account. So that's why it was still active or, open. So I'm just reviewing her individual checking account. I didn't know about this other one. So I've uncovered like 4 policies at this point. And she knew about all but one of them. And she didn't know where her policies were because, they moved. Well, she didn't technically move, but she moved into a new house. So we're calling and we're on hold and we're just trying one by one, trying to go through these. And then she brings out this other checking account bank statement. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's some more. And I was like, is this maybe one of your son's policies? And she's like, no, I've been trying to get insurance on my son, but nobody can insure him. And I'm like, well, I'll be able to help you with that. So, I kind of reassured her, like, I'll help you with him and don't you worry about that. And we'll get him some coverage in place. And so she immediately loved that. And I kind of, reassured her of that before I started giving her my pitch on my plan for her policies. I wanted to gain that trust and get her to be thankful and then move into hers. So, and so I'm reviewing these, and it's funny because one of them was a family benefit. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just know it's probably one of our agents. And then another one was Seek a Life. And I'm like, I know it's going to be one of our agents. And nope, I don't even know who these agents are, but they're not with us.
That's crazy.
Maybe
she must have got it over the phone or something.
Well, one she got in person, and then one she did over the phone, which she said she doesn't remember that one. But anyways, so I just thought that was so funny because I was like, man, that's what I was thinking. And then I asked agent on record, and not whoever he is, I don't know him. So anyways, but I just said, I asked her goal for these policies. I was like, this is how much total that you have. Like, now that Mr. Such and such is gone, who are you wanting these to be left behind to? And she wanted them, there was 3 children that she wanted it split. And all of her beneficiaries on the old policies, like she would have to update and everything. And I said, wouldn't you think it would be a lot easier for your children when that time comes, a long time from now, but whenever they have to call and file these claims, wouldn't you just want them to call one person and that be me? And I said, versus having to do what we just did and call all these different companies. And she said, yeah. And I said, and what's even better is they, on top of them being able to do that now is, you're actually going to get a nice check back. And I told her that, and she's like, oh, and I said, and you're going to save a little bit of money every month, and that can help you towards the policy that you're getting for your son. And like, it made sense, obviously. But, there again, when we're doing things like that with clients who already have policies, like a couple of them she had for a couple years, but a few other ones were just like a year old. But you have to bring emotion into the sale, because making it real for them, like when that time does come, she saw what we just had to do to get these companies on the phone, all of them. She doesn't want her children to go through that. And so us kind of reminding them of that is going to be a, sell or no sell. So it's not always about saving them or everything, but just putting that realistic idea in their head. But yeah, so that was my day. Long day, but worth it.
That's awesome, Kaylee. Think about what would have happened had you not decided to go to that last house. Like whenever you get that little like inkling, like, oh, I better go to this one. It always ends up being the big one, So like, and hats off to you. How much AP was just that one house?
I think it was a little over 5,000.
5,000 off of a lead that you've had for years that
Yeah.
you just were like, I never got in front of her. Let me go back by,
And I
like
didn't
guys.
even have it at the door.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've done that before. You drive by a house, you're like, I've knocked on that house before, but so it's guys, that's so important to just follow up and do what Kaylee did. Think about if she was like, nah, I'll go to that one another day or whatever. She potentially could have missed out on 5,000 of AP. So that's awesome. Kaylee, super proud of you. Hats off to you for being agent of the week last week, and having a 7K day. I don't know. I think that beats my record. I don't know if I've ever had a 7K day, maybe a few fives here and there, but that's huge. So hats off to you guys. That's all we got for you. It's 9:30. We'll wrap up there. Kaylee, super appreciative of you hopping on here and sharing some wisdom with everybody. Guys, take what she said and run with it today, and you might have yourself a 13K week too. So appreciate you guys for watching. Kaylee, thanks for everything.